The following segment is sponsored by Hewitt's Garden Center.
A lot of us are discovering our yards, and we're discovering that a lot of other critters are discovering our yards as well. And one of the first things we see the damage from in spring is, of course, moles. And there are a lot of different ways of dealing with moles that have been around for years. We have a poisonous bait that you put down in the burrow. I'm not a real fan of this because I worry that if they come out of the burrow after they're dead and they've eaten the poison, we may poison an owl or a hawk that finds the body. So I won't use those. The smoke bombs are fun though. You can put them down a hole and set the bomb off and the smoke fills their burrow, and you can watch as they run out the other exit that they have across the other side of the yard. So these can be effective, but you really got to know your moles and where their holes are and plug them all up before you do that. Then there's this skewer that you excavate around and implant this in one of their burrows, and they come along and it triggers it and skewers them. So those are pretty satisfying if you really hate the moles. And then there's these new high-tech sonic spikes. They put out a vibration into the soil, and they can work pretty well for small areas, especially in sandier soil. They can be somewhat effective. But the most effective, of course, is going to be the Molemax. It's a repellent you'll put into soil, water it in. They hate this stuff. They leave. It doesn't hurt them. They just move out of their territory and have to set up shop somewhere else. If you use this in the spring, though, you want to remember young moles set up new territories in the fall, so using it again in September will help quite a bit. Then in our flower beds and on our shrubs where we have deer damage or rabbit damage, you can use Repelzol. But if you have a vegetable garden, you've got to be very careful because none of these things that I just talked about are safe to use around food crops. So you may have your lettuce or your peas growing already, and in that case, you want to use a hot pepper wax spray like this. Make sure you read the label. You can spray this right on the plants and no problem at all, but you got to make sure, read the labels, make sure that the repellent you're using is appropriate for a food crop when you want to use it on your vegetables in your vegetable garden. For Hewitt's Garden Centers, this is Peter Bowden.